of new Kindle titles that are available for free. With that kind of flow of information, will people be willing to pay, say, US $16 for a new Tyndale book in ebook format? I don't know. I hope so, but I just don't know. As more and more ebooks are sold at low prices or distributed for free, consumers might conclude that $5 is the most they will ever pay for an ebook. But we as publishers still invest almost as much money in preparing the book, whether it goes into physical print form or ebook form. So we will lose money if $5 or even $8 becomes the new normal for all ebooks. If I had to rank the trend of the transition from print books to ebooks on the scale of exciting versus scary, I guess I'd have to say it's right in the middle, both exciting and scary. Exciting because it's moving so fast, but scary because we really don't know where it's headed. My fourth trend is definitely a scary one. There are fewer bookstores than in the past. I don't know if you've experienced this in your country, but it's certainly true in the United States. We used to have thousands of independent booksellers, both general bookstores and Christian bookstores. But it's harder and harder to run an independent bookstore or even a chain store and keep it profitable. There's too much competition for the independents from chain bookstores, and all bookstores have competition from internet sellers and from used book sellers and from ebooks. And you've probably seen this. Someone is shopping in a bookstore and comparing prices on their iPhone with an internet seller. And if the internet seller is offering that book for a lower price, the shopper buys it online right there in the physical bookstore. So the brick and mortar store has the expense of paying rent, buying the inventory, paying for store clerks, and the shopper buys the book from an online competitor. Ouch! And of course we see that happening not just in books. If you go into Home Depot or Costco, Carrefour, whatever the other big retailers might be in your community, you see the same thing happening. People are comparing prices with what they're seeing in the store with what they can pay for it on Amazon, and that hurts all physical retailers. Here are some scary statistics about the number of bookstores. The number of stores who are members of the American Booksellers Association dropped from 5,200 in 1991 to 1,410 in 2010. The difference reflects the net number of independent bookstores that have gone out of business in the United States over the past 20 years, from 5,200 down to 1,400. And the chain bookstores are also struggling. When the Borders bookstore chain went out of business in 2011, more than 800 stores disappeared. That means there are 800 fewer places for shoppers to browse and to find and buy books. This is a scary trend. And we see a similar rate of decline in the Christian bookselling industry. The trade association called CBA, Christian Booksellers Association, had 1,600 independent bookstore members as recently as 2007. In 2011, the number of stores was down to 1,100, 1,600 down to 1,100 over just 4 years. For us as Christian publishers, this is a very scary situation. Christian bookstores have always been the backbone of our distribution efforts. If Christian bookstores disappear, we'll have to find new ways of reaching those consumers. But of course, it cuts both ways. Christian bookstores are struggling because we publishers are selling our books through bookstore chains like Barnes & Noble. And we're selling through Amazon, and we're selling through Walmart and other general merchandisers, and we're selling ebooks. Are we causing our own problem? Yeah, in some ways we are. But at Tyndale House, we've always been committed to selling our products wherever the consumer wants to buy them. And so far, many consumers are saying they want to buy our books at places other than Christian bookstores. So we make sure that our books are available in those other venues and those other formats. If somebody wants to buy a Tyndale book in ebook format, we need to be there in ebook format, otherwise they're not going to buy our book, they'll buy somebody else's book. So are we our own biggest enemy? Yes, in some ways we are. That's part of the challenge that we face as Christian publishers. The last trend I'll point to is that Amazon is now the largest player in book sales. I wouldn't say this is exciting, and it does worry me to some degree. I realize that Amazon is not yet a huge player in Asia, but I saw a recent posting in which Amazon is looking for a data center operations manager in Singapore. They're coming here if they're not here already. In the US, Amazon is now the largest retailer of books. Of course, they started out as a book retailer, and their goal was to be the world's largest bookstore. That was in 1995, just 17 years ago when they started out. And they have achieved their initial goal. But at the same time, they've become a major retailer in many categories of products. And here's their mission statement. They say, our vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they want to buy online. How's that for moxie? Are they truly customer-centric? Well, in my experience, they are. I enjoy shopping on Amazon. If I look up an author, I can find everything that author ever wrote, whether or not it's still in print. After all, Amazon sells used books as well as new books. And I can read customer reviews of all those books. And I can see that people who bought this book also bought these other books. I guess it's the new way of browsing. And they send me regular emails in which they recommend products based on the products that I've already purchased or based on what other people are buying that seems similar to what I've purchased. They have an incredibly massive database. That's the good part. What worries me is that shopping on Amazon is not the same as going into a physical bookstore and seeing thousands of books laid out before me. Every time I go into a bookstore, I buy something, and often it's something I didn't even know existed until I saw it in the store. That's a lot less likely at Amazon.com. Of course, Amazon is also the key player in ebooks, as we've already discussed. That's both exciting and worrisome. It's also worrisome to me that Amazon is becoming a publisher of print books. I read a newspaper article recently from a small town in Illinois. A local author had written and self-published 2 juvenile books, and then Amazon contacted her and offered to publish her next book themselves. Now, are they also contacting Tyndale House authors and trying to lure them away from us? I don't know, but they probably are. They certainly know more than we do about how each of our books is selling and who's buying them, because they have that massive database that tells them who's buying a Tyndale book or a Broadman and Holman book. And we really know very little about those ultimate consumers. Another worrisome aspect is that Amazon might flex their muscle and tell publishers how to set the prices for their books. They already discount hardcover books by 40% or more from the publisher's suggested retail price, and they purchase those books from us based on our suggested retail price. So they give themselves a very narrow margin. But perhaps the day will come when Amazon says, this is ridiculous. We're not going to pay publishers based on, say, a $26 price. We're going to pay you based on a $16 price because that's what we're selling it for. And if you don't like it, we won't carry your book. And if the largest bookseller in the world won't carry our book, we lose a big chunk of distribution. Well, that's my perspective at this point. 5 trends that excite me or worry me. Publishing is a rewarding business, especially for those of us in the field of Christian publishing. But the tectonic plates of our industry are shifting under our feet. Publishing looks different now than it did even 1 year ago, and it will continue to change year by year and even month by month. May God give all of us wisdom in all that we do. Thanks, and I look forward to spending the next couple of days with you.